I take the deal to the first bank, and they deny me. So that was a punch to the gut, you know. And then I take the deal to a second bank. Guess what? They deny me again, and now I'm questioning whether I can do this. You know, it's not always a straight ascent up. You're gonna have road bumps in between, and so I'm determined to get the deal done. And I take a flyer. I was like, okay, I'm gonna go to one more bank, and I need to get creative and figure that I'm going to figure this out one way or another. I'm going to do this. I'm going to make this happen because I believe that this is the right thing to do. This is the next step that I need to take. And the third bank somehow, I remember I was out of town, and they called me. They approved it, and man, that was an awesome moment.
Hello, and welcome to Indian Explorers. In this podcast, we talk about Indian success stories. I am Sabrina, and together with my co host Amit, we will get to understand the journey of our guests and what really drives them. The optimism, patience, idealism, and courage that these individuals have is what we want to bring to life in our conversations with them. So if you enjoy the show, I hope you do. Please subscribe and introduce us to our next guest. So, Amit, what's going on today?
Hi, Sabrina. I was thinking about you last night, watching CNN. Your former president, Donald Trump, is back. He is back. He's unbelievable, Sabrina. He said he would end the war between Russia and Ukraine in 24 hours. He said that the election was rigged. Yeah? He said, he did not say that his friend, Vladimir Putin, is a war criminal. The guy is unbelievable. If I was Biden, no matter how old I am, I think I would go for it again. Because if that's my competition, it seems easy.
Yeah, I didn't even watch it. I just saw highlights this morning. Unfortunately, I caught them. Why are you watching this?
Greatest country in the world, Sabrina. What happens in the US affects the currencies around the whole world.
Yeah, but
And it's
honestly, this guy,
entertaining.
it last night was nonsense. It was complete nonsense. And I think
Yeah.
both sides of the aisle agree it was complete nonsense. Um, I'm surprised. I know it's a political game. I'm just waiting to see what day these these other Republicans come and join the campaign because
Let's hope it's soon. What did you get up to,
they
Sabrina? Anything fun?
yeah, let's change topics to someone more admirable is Taylor Swift. I went to her concert last weekend, and man, this girl's unbelievable. 3 hours and 15 minutes of nonstop. She played the guitar, played the piano, sang, danced. The energy in that stadium was unbelievable. Dare I say it was Michael Jackson-esque in there? Like, I'm not kidding.
Wow.
Yeah,
Wow.
like that's
She's
a
showing
bold
up on my
statement.
TikToks. All my TikToks are now Taylor Swift fans showing queues and queues of people.
Yeah, she was incredible. I mean, this girl's probably one of the biggest stars right now. I was having coffee with friends after they took their daughters to the concert as well, and we were blown away at her drive. I mean, this girl knew when she was 9 what she was going to do. She asked her parents, like, I want to go to Nashville. And here I am thinking, like, what does my 10-year-old want to do? She comes home from school, plays with slime, watches some TikTok. But I guess this girl's an anomaly or not. I wrote a blog about this recently, but um, yeah, I was just
Good for her.
impressed.
Good for
Yeah,
her. She's crushing it.
totally crushing it. And speaking of ambition and drive, our guest today is Shavi Mahtani, and I'm excited to talk to him about where his drive comes from. He was born in Madras, moved here when he was a little boy, and I'm wondering if at 9 and 10 years old he knew exactly what he was going to do. But I'm excited to find out. So,
Let's,
welcome, Shavi.
Hey
let's
guys,
jump in.
thanks thanks for having
How you
me.
doing? How you
Great,
doing,
I'm
buddy?
doing great. Yeah, awesome.
So before we get to it, Shavi, I need to tell you a story, and I actually don't think I've told you this story. A couple years ago, Naima, my 10-year-old, who you know so well, we were driving, and she asked me. She said, "Mommy, what is rich?" And I said, "Well." Rich can mean several things. You could be rich in money, you could be rich in health, you could be rich in happiness, right? Am I right? So, but I saw her wheels turning, and then she says, "Mommy, what does Uncle Shovey do?" And I said, so I gave her a little tidbit of what you do. You're a land developer and you also own several like shopping centers and you build them. And her wheels continued to turn. And she said, I'm just wondering if he really works because every time we go visit him, he sits on the couch with us and he's on his laptop. And I said, honey, I said, your uncle is one of the hardest working people you'll ever meet. And he's one of the smartest people you'll ever meet because while we're all there having fun and playing games, and he's a part of it, he's still working on his laptop and he's learning more than any of us are. So I don't think I've ever told you that.
No, that's a great story. Thanks for sharing that.
Yeah, for sure. I know Amitu has a story about his kids.
No, I mean, just yesterday, I was bathing the boys, and my 8-year-old asked me, not if I was rich or not. He said, Dad, am I a millionaire? I said, sorry? He goes, Dad, we were talking in school with some friends, and I don't know why it came up, but am I a millionaire? I said, Gotham, you're a billionaire. And my wife ran from the other room, heard me, and said, no, 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 no. Let's not talk about millionaires and billionaires. She corrected me, and she basically gave me a piece of her mind. I was
Well,
just
now you
having
can
fun with my
tell us
kids.
that your kids are rich in health and happiness and love, right?
Yeah,
With that, they're
yeah,
billionaires.
With that billionaire
yeah.
status. Okay, so let's get to it. Let's talk about your success. Um, Amit and I were talking, and we were wondering if you are the largest land developer in South Texas. Um, and we want to talk about where you started and how you got to developing land. But first, are you the largest land developer in South
I'm
Texas?
probably one of the top as far as land developers is concerned. Yeah, we've developed at least 30 subdivisions, a few thousand acres down here in South Texas. So it's a
Okay.
substantial amount. But I am probably the only one that does both, which is we develop land and build shopping centers. So we develop horizontally and vertically. So
Okay.
there's not too
Awesome.
many people that do that. We can get back to that in a bit.
All right. Yes.
Yeah, I think
I'm glad to
let's
hear
step
you're the
back.
only one. Yeah. Let's step
Yeah,
back. Let's start.
let's start from the beginning. Yeah, because I remember you being a Cindy business guy. I don't remember if you went to college or not, but I remember you had a shopping cart and then there was Watch Zone. So basically, it was all consumer products and retail and wholesale. So before we even go into that, can you tell me when did you get to America? I just found out you were born in India. So
Yeah,
just
I
give
was
us a bit of a history.
born in Madras. My mom and dad separated, so we ended up in South Texas. We were in Brownsville. Didn't care for Brownsville much. Moved up to McAllen. A little bit of
How
both,
old were
right?
you?
I was about 4.5, almost 5 years old, and stayed here. Did not go to college. Uh, at a young age, I already knew I had business aspirations. I knew I wanted to be in business. I just didn't know what it was going to be. Always had the entrepreneurial spirit. And, I graduated high school and started working for my cousin. And he was doing
Okay,
retail, wholesale, which a lot of Indians do. Retail and wholesale is an easy business for us to get into. Yep.
guilty.
And so he was selling watches. And I noticed I was about 19 at the time. I noticed he was selling a particular brand of watches, Fossil watches. I don't know if they're still around anymore or not, but he was selling a
Yeah.
lot of these. There's what?
There's a fossil store here.
Oh, is
They're
it?
still
That
up.
They're
Mhm.
They're
still
still
Yeah.
up.
around.
Yes.
So he was selling a lot of fossil watches, and at the time, I think when he hired me, I was making about 180 or $200 a week. So there's good money for a 19-year-old. Uh, but I knew I wanted to do something more. Uh, and the first business, the watches were selling well. I went to the mall, I approached them, and I said, "Hey, I'd like to open a little cart here at the mall selling these watches." At the time, they were coming out with other accessories, little wallets and handbags and things like that. So at the age of 19, that was my very first business. Is a little watch cart in the mall.
Did you start with the cart or did you start with the online business?
It
How did
was
that
the
work?
cart first. Yeah, it was just a little cart first. The online business came around a handful of years later. The whole online thing was taking off. Uh,
Yeah.
got into that. That was a partnership. We had to jump on the whole online action. Everybody else was getting into it, and we took the same trade and decided, okay, let's do it online. I took that company from zero to, by the time I exited that company, we were doing about 5 million a year. So that was the next step.
That was
Okay.
And
back
And
in
then
the AOL days. Like this
that
was like
was right.
25
You
years.
had you'd dial in, and you'd have the modem. Beep, 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 beep. Remember all that? People today
jingle.
don't know all that. How hard it was just to log on.
Oh
Sabrina,
yeah.
this was when Jeff Bezos wasn't fit and strong.
I think, yeah.
This was
Jeff
like
Bezos
early,
grew.
early days. Yeah.
Yeah, it was the right time for you, right?
That was a good time. That's when we were, the online thing lasted for a few years for us when we exited that. And I
Can,
was always evolving from one business to another.
can you tell us about that exit? Like, what did you do with that paycheck? Did you say, okay, that's it, I'm retiring, or what did you do with that money?
Well, it was more of a separation between partners, and I just took the money, and at that time I was about 25. At that time, I had about three different mall businesses. I had the online thing running, and I exited that, and I went into the cell phone business. That was so about 25, 26. I had a handful of different businesses. Like I said, I had the entrepreneurial spirit. I knew, just business was my thing. I was always looking for the next opportunity.
How
And
did you discover Nextel? Because that was the next thing.
yeah, it's a pretty funny story. I was actually sourcing watches for the online business, and I called somebody, and I was trying to buy watches from a certain seller, and he said, I don't have time for you. I'm so busy. I'm opening a Nextel there in South Texas, and almost kind of blew me off. And I was like, okay, that's fine. I hung up with him, picked up the phone, called Nextel, and I said, hey, I heard you guys are coming down, so I'd like to be a dealer as well. So lo and behold, that's kind of how I got into the business, and that taught me always keep your eyes and ears open for the next opportunity. You just don't know where it's going to come from.
People ask me how I ended up in South Texas. Do you remember you were doing Nextel? You had, I think, a couple of stores, and we were emailing, and you said you were giving me your numbers. And I, as a joke, I reply and say, I'm gonna come compete with you in the Valley. And at this time, I think I was in DC, living paycheck to paycheck on Capitol Hill. And you're like, call me. You need to move to South Texas.
Is that how
And
I don't remember the details of how it went down, but I remember the gist of
like
it.
that. So,
Yeah,
yeah.
That's a good. I didn't realize that, Sabrina, that you moved there because of that. That's great.
Yeah.
No, I think Shav, you also got into the ice cream business. How does one
I
think of
did.
watches to cell phones to ice cream? I mean, the unit maths, the economics for each business is so different. Or did you just think, retail is retail and you understood the numbers?
At that point, it was my early 20s. Retail is what I knew, and that's kind of what I was sticking with. So I had early 20s. I had two mall businesses, both watches. I went out of town, saw this ice cream business. I opened that. Um, I realized quickly is retail is a great conduit. It's a great conduit that helps you get into other businesses, and it's easy to get into, but it has a shelf life. At least for me, that's how I felt. I didn't want to always keep doing retail.
Can you talk about the financing of each business? Were you being financed by the banks, or was it all equity and capital injection of your own source?
The very first business was a very small investment because a lot of the watches I bought credit from my family member, and it was a cart. There really wasn't that much, so I had a little bit of money saved up. Whatever I had saved up, I put it all into that. It was sink or swim. You have to figure it out. You put it all out there, and you're willing to take a chance and believe in yourself. And luckily it worked. It went according to plan. So that was the very first business. After the first business, you start saving, and you start saving. You start thinking, okay, what's the next move? You always have to make sure the next move is the right move. You don't want to take a step back. And so that's how it went from, okay, I know the retail, going to get into another one, and kind of kept building like that. That's been the plan. I'm always trying to take a step forward.
So you learn at an early age that you're going to diversify, and that's critical, right, to
That is
survival.
critical. Yes. The did the ice cream business, and then not too long after that, we got into the online business. That was also a handful of years. Had to participate in the party, the whole online.com party. Everybody else was doing it. And then, I heard the opportunity about the cell phones, and the cell phone one is an important one because it was just another business, but it helped me land into the main business of real estate. What happened is, I'm renting a space, um, and I have a landlord in the shopping center. And typical Indian fashion, I don't want to pay rent. I want to buy the space. So I keep bugging him, hey, sell me this unit, sell me this unit. And the guy tells me, I'm not going to sell you the unit. If I'm going to sell you anything, I'm going to sell you the whole shopping center. And so he gives me a number, he writes it down. He goes, this is the rent I'm collecting. And this was, I'd say, about 27 at this point. And he gives me all the rent figures and everything. And I take it home and I say, there's no way I can afford this 7-digit figure. It's a big number at that age. It's intimidating. Uh, and I take it home and I study it. I say, either my math is off or I'm getting a pretty decent deal. And I'm pretty good at math. So, that's one thing I'm decent at. So the next week comes around, I call the landlord, the building owner. I said, okay, this might be more than I could chew off, but let's negotiate. Get him down a little bit more when he was already giving me a fair deal, but and we come to a deal, and so within a week later, we're in contract. And I take the deal to the first bank, and they deny me. So that was a punch to the gut, and then I take the deal to a second bank. Guess what? They deny me again. And now I'm questioning whether I can do this. It's not always a straight ascent up. You're gonna have road bumps in between. And so, I'm determined to get the deal done. And I take a flyer. I was like, okay, I'm going to go to one more bank, and I need to get creative and figure that I'm going to figure this out one way or another. I'm going to do this. I'm going to make this happen because I believe that this is the right thing to do. This is the next step that I need to take. And the third bank somehow, I remember I was out of town, and they called me. They approved it, and man, that was an awesome moment.
How did you
That
feel? Were you nervous? Were you scared, excited, all of the above?
I think I hung up the phone, just yelled, like, because it was a big moment. When I closed on that deal, I
Yeah.
realized I just made more with a signature on this deal than I have working years of retail, you know, and the light bulb really came on, and I realized that changed how I thought.
during COVID, when tenants, how was the negotiation with the tenants when they stopped paying you? Were you upfront with them? Did you
Um,
negotiate with each one? That must have been an
You really fast
experience.
forwarded here, huh? Yeah, COVID was it was definitely challenging. And I was talking to somebody about this just yesterday. Uh, how what an interesting period of our lives that we went through. This is unlike any other time that we've ever gone through. It's, we were locked up at home. Uh, that week going into COVID, I remember the county that we live at here in South Texas declared a lockdown. So we were going under lockdown. In that week, we probably had our busiest week ever in business. It was the strangest phenomenon. Everybody was calling to get these deals done. And I just couldn't believe what was happening. I was like, people are stocking up a bottle of water, toilet paper, and they want to close on their real estate. I was like, this is an unreal market. I don't get it. And after that, it just stayed unreal for the next couple of years. But
That's amazing. Well, I think you want us to ask you too. You said we were going too fast. How'd you go from your first property to your second? How long? How did that happen?
I gained a lot of I gained a little bit of confidence by closing on that first deal. And then I said, okay, I'm going to buy this land, this piece of property. I'm going to speculate. I think I'm getting a good deal on it, and I'm going to go and flip it.
Okay,
And
so land was your second one.
well, there was a land deal that I did. I remember I bought it for like, a few hundred grand. I said, I'm going to flip this property. I'm going to put a plan in place together. I'm going to flip it as a project. Same
Okay.
exact piece of property. I'm just prettying it up, putting it in. It's just like selling a watch. You put it in the showcase, you put it under the light, and all of a sudden it looks pretty, and I could get more for it. I did that. It was the second deal where I made a seven-figure amount, and I said, wow, okay, that just gave me a real boost of confidence. I said, you know what? As much as you doubt yourself and you have all these challenges, you say, you know what? I can do this. I can do this. And that was a real game changing moment between those two deals.
What year was this?
This was about early 2000s, I would say.
Really? I think Noel reminded me. I think when that deal closed, I may have called you
I
and you
remember
were,
that.
was it that one? You were
It
selling
was the
something?
land deal, and I closed on that. Made a nice little return. I was with a bunch of my friends, and we
Yeah.
started a happy hour. I don't think we left till after dinner. It was. I don't remember half that night, but it was a fun day.
And you told me, Sabrina, I just closed this huge deal. And I think it was at that moment you knew, I knew that like you're at a different, like things are going to change,
Things were.
right? You're
I
heading
under,
down this real estate.
I was starting to understand the things more. It wasn't just about selling, buying something for $1 and selling it for $2 anymore. You're
Yeah.
just adding several zeros to it.
Zeros after it.
I trust you paid for the drinks that day.
I did. I did. The tab was on me. And not too long after that, I couldn't find another deal like the first shopping center deal that I so then I realized, okay, I can't buy it. Well, I'm gonna have to go build it. 30 shopping centers. We have about seven new ones under development right now. Um, and we some they're a lot larger than the ones I used to build right off the when I was getting started.
How large? What are we talking? Like what type of
The
store?
newest one that I did is about 100,000 square feet.
Okay. And then you shift into residential.
I'm doing commercial, and 2008, 2009 hits, and I realize, everybody faces the recession, everybody has a crunch, and it taught me a lot. I struggled during that recession. Everything I knew, throw out the window. You reinvent yourself yet again. And it was a tough year and a half, 2 years for a lot of people, not just myself. But I tell you what, you learn more during the bad times than you ever do during those good times. When you're just going and building, you're just repeating the same things without actually moving forward and understanding what you're doing. So in that recession, I realized I'm doing everything all wrong. I'm paying people top dollar for these small tracks when I should be buying large tracks. I need to take that next step, that next evolution in these deals. going
Mhm.
from, doing a 20,000 square foot shopping center. Now I'm going to buy, instead of buying 2 acres or acre and a half, I'm going to buy 40 acres. And I have the ability to be dynamic about it and do residential subdivision, chop it up, master plan it. In the front, I'll do commercial. And that was kind of the next step. And the recession kind of taught me that. At the time, it was a big struggle. But when I adapted, when I learned, it really taught me a lot. And I wouldn't be here today. I wouldn't have gotten into the other business if it wasn't for that.
But how does someone how do you think of that? Like how do you go from I'm buying a building, right? I was able to make it happen to now we're in a recession, we're in tough times, and it's kind of repeating itself.
Is it?
I don't know, you tell
Mm,
me.
I'll,
You
I'll
might
answer.
have a better
I'll
answer
answer.
than
I'll answer that. 2 words: big balls. That's what it is. It's
I,
I mean,
guts.
it's
It's
true.
ballsy.
I would be terrified if, you know, to have this plan and it looks foolproof and but I don't know if I have the confidence in doing that. And you totally had the confidence and did all your market research to back that.
I was starting at that point, I was starting to understand the business more.
Yeah.
Starting to understand the world of real estate. I'm starting to do it enough on a repeated basis that you start getting it. And that's when I understood that I'm all equity based. Shopping centers is an older man's business. It's very equity based. And I
Mhm.
had to be more cash based. And so that's the reason for saying, okay, I need to diversify.
So where would you find the most success in your projects? Like at what point in the project do you see this is going to be successful? Is it the conception? Is it um, you're just starting off the project execution? Where do you find the most success?
It's funny when I identify a piece of land, it is just dirt. And if the idea is sometimes you got to look at it, and you have a different use for every piece of a different every piece of property, right? Every dirt has a use for it. So sometimes when I identify a property, I have an idea of what I'm going to do with it. But it's a really cool feeling to see it come together from in here to say, I'm going to do this here. This is going to be a shopping center, and people are going to eat here. They're going to drink here. They're going to shop here, and to see it come to life. And that's the magical moment is when the tenants open and there's activity and you created it. I don't build it with my hands, but it happens all right here with my mind.
Yeah. And speaking of, envisioning the people there, I feel like what I've seen on social media lately or your LinkedIn is you're reinventing the type of businesses that are in your plazas. There's a new restaurant, and forgive me, I forget the name, but I mean, so trendy. And if you think of McAllen, sorry for the people living in McAllen and Edinburgh, but it's not the trendiest place.
No,
We're in
it's
border
not
town
trendy at all, but
there.
this new development that I did, I feel like I'm really pushing the envelope. And like a couple of those places you talked about, there's a few handful of businesses that open in that development that are really trendy, and they one of them reminds
Yeah.
you of being in Vegas. You think you're in Vegas when you walk in there. You escape South Texas, and so that's the type of stuff I'm proud of now. Is and even on the land development because we're doing both, and we're able to do subdivisions, and you see a beautiful house, people move in, happy families living in there. It's a beautiful thing to see, knowing that you created
I love it, Shav. It's McAllen, the new Vegas.
it.
How about
This just
pickleball?
happens to be the area where I do business, right? So,
Of course, of course.
Any pickleball courts and any sports complexes you're coming up with?
we have another new development that it's another 32-acre development, and we have some plans for it. We want to get involved with that pickleball. It's a that phenomenon seems to be blowing up throughout the country. I don't know if it's throughout the world, but I know it's becoming a big thing. I played for the first time, a handful of weeks ago, and it was so much fun. Used to play tennis, so I recognize all the movements. I recognize the the swings, and so it was a lot of fun. Have you
We
guys
played
played?
Sabrina and I played in December.
Oh, it's a blast. And I think as we get older, it's easier to play because you don't have to
Not as
run as
much
much.
running.
But it's pretty amazing how it's taken off. I didn't think it would, but when I played, I was having so much fun because I can have a glass of wine and play at the same time. I did want to ask you. I read recently in an article Edinburgh has 100 million construction activity this past quarter, first quarter of the year, compared to 38 million last year. So more than double. Of all this construction, you mentioned you have $100 million project. Is the 100 million your development, or is it other developers coming in as well?
No, that's a lot of other development. But I'm probably a good chunk of that because through the land development, there's a lot of houses that go up in that 100 million. But remember, I don't build the houses. And going back, touching up on that real quick is, we were talking about a recession. Are we in a recession? I almost have to tune out the news now because I've been watching this for over a year and they've been talking about a recession, recession, recession. And we know I go into 2023. I'm very scared because I think the first quarter everything's going to fall off the cliff. And guess what happens? We have our busiest quarter, the first quarter that we've ever had. So I don't know what to think anymore. They keep talking about recession, but you know the numbers don't prove it. I don't know what you guys are seeing. And I know San Antonio is very busy. I don't know
Really?
how the rest of the
You think
world
you
is faring.
you think you'll ever do business in San Antonio, Austin, other big cities in Texas?
Yeah, right now I have a big playground here, um, but I would definitely look at expanding regionally into Texas. There's just so much you can do. There's only so many hours in your day.
We are in a recession. I live in Chile, so we've just had two
In Chile,
negative
there
months.
is a recession.
Yeah, there is. So we feel it, but it's okay. We're managing. I think we should move on. I think we need to talk a little bit more about. We spoke earlier about the toys that you like them. I believe you
Yeah.
are a proud owner of a nice jet. How does one go about buying a jet? And is this something you finance, or you just go and transfer the whole amount? Fill us in.
Yeah, the plane, huh? So yeah, everybody likes their toys. I like my cars and plane as well. Um, but it's funny that, when I first started looking at acquiring a jet, it was um, it was the first time I rode in a plane. I knew I was going to buy one, and I started researching it not too long after that. And it was during the COVID lockdown when things, all these planes, boats, all these luxury goods, all these depreciating assets, instead of depreciating, they all appreciated. And it became extremely challenging trying to be able to actually buy one. You know, cars were selling for over sticker price, yachts were selling for $500,000 more, planes were selling for $1 million more than what they were worth. So it became a real challenge actually just trying to acquire a plane. There wasn't any inventory to buy. So, it took me a while to be able to go do the research. And when I decided to do it, all that was happening. But yeah, and then I decided to finally pull the trigger on it. Um, was able to, and with a plane, it's just like buying a car or anything else. You go get financing, you put your money down, and you amortize it. But what a lot of people don't realize is on a plane, it's easy buying one. It's hard maintaining one and using one. The cost of it is in the maintenance, not really the acquisition.
You also told me that it was difficult finding a pilot when you needed one.
You
Um,
know,
yeah,
there
we were
was a
talking about.
record
No, go ahead.
level of transactions happening in the jet market. So with that, you get a record, all these pilots, the demand for pilots. So you
Yeah.
can't find pilots either. So, but after searching and being determined, found a pilot, got all that figured out. So yes, happy owner of a Nice plane.
We were texting once, I mean, and I said, he goes, yeah, I mean, I didn't realize this was going to be a problem. I said, well, my problem is even getting to a jet. Like, I don't even know how to buy one. Um, but Shop, when I first pitched this idea to you for being on this podcast, I told you it was about Indian success stories.
Yeah.
So to go with the theme, and we're asking all our guests, what does success mean to you? Um, define
What's the
success
success?
for us.
I think success to me means doing something you enjoy doing and being the best in your field at it. It doesn't matter what it is that you do, whether it's retail, what you're selling. If you're the best at it, I think that's successful in your field, in your area, whatever it is. Because if you're the best at it, the monetary part of it comes because that also is important. Now, I don't care what anybody says, the monetary aspect of it is important. And, that also ties into you being happy with what you're doing. You have to have financial reward.
I agree with you. Your son, you have twins, a daughter and son, Nadim and Nyla. Nadim is a Giannis fan. It's his favorite
Yes.
player.
Yeah.
Um, you took him to see him play in Miami recently. He got a chance to meet him, which was very exciting. And when Giannis, disappointingly, when the Bucks lost to the Miami Heat, he was asked in a post-game interview about failure. Was he, I don't know, well, we talked about it last week, but was it a failure? That was the saying. Not was he a
I,
failure, was it a failure? What is your definition of failure?
I love that Giannis's response. That was such a heartfelt moment. It was such a humbling moment in post sports game interview. Um, and I think he was right. You can do things and be great at it. And in business, there's no measurement of success like you have in sports. In sports, you do great, you get a gold medal, you get a trophy.
Yeah.
In business, you don't get that. Our reward is you look at your bank account, you could have a great year, and he's absolutely right. Some years you're going to do great, but you don't get the trophy, But and so I was really impressed with his post game interview.
When is enough enough? Like, when do you have enough, fuck you money that you decide you no longer have the incentive to do what you're doing? Have you thought about retirement, or is that something that just doesn't cross your mind?
You know, I love what I'm doing. It's my passion. My brain always has to stay busy. And so it's never going to stop. And it's now at this point, it's not about the dollars anymore. It's about me doing something that I really enjoy. I don't think I'll ever retire. One day maybe my son or both my kids will come work with me. That would be a beautiful moment if either one of them or both of them do. I think my son probably will. My daughter's more of a humanitarian. I think she'd probably be wanting to help people. Um, but I don't think for people that are so driven, I don't think it's ever about here's the finish line, I want to retire. My brain always has to stay busy. It has to stay active. Whether I'm out of town or whatever I'm doing, I'm always trying. My brain's always working, and it's always wanting. It's not about just wanting more. It's just about the feeling of creating and just doing things and keeping my mind busy. Because it's what I enjoy. It's what I'm good at.
I could totally see one of your kids joining you in the business, probably your son, because like you said, I think your daughter will follow her heart into something else. But he did tell me when my daughter started a fidget business recently, she retail, right? She bought and she's reselling them. He said he started a business. In fact, he didn't start it. He was investing in someone else's business because that was the smarter thing to do. I guess like you, it says the money goes, let the money do the work, right? While my
That's
daughter's
right.
actually doing the work, he's letting the money do the work. So I could totally see that happening.
Yeah, he's
So
been fascinated with business. He's been asking me questions about real estate, how rent works, and since the age of 4 or 5. So it's awesome. It's an awesome feeling to see that he's interested in it. I hope they do get older and want to work with me. But I hope it doesn't become like that show on HBO, Succession, where they want to squeeze the old man out, right? They're all fighting to take over. Be careful
I
what
think
you
that's
ask
five.
for.
Sleep with
I think
one
that's
eye
five
open.
children.
Sleep with
Was it
one eye
four
open.
kids? 4 kids or 5 kids in succession? You have two,
It's
right?
four kids,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah. And I wanted to ask you, you had dinner with a famous influencer, Gary V. Tell me about that
Gary
dinner. How
V,
did
yeah,
that come
that's right.
about? Was he someone you looked up to?
That Gary V, I was really wanting to meet him, so I figured out how to make it happen. And man, that guy is just so awesome. It was so interesting for whatever reason. His content really impresses me. It
Resonates.
really makes you think. Yeah, he puts out some great content, and enjoyed the dinner. He makes you think differently, uh, and it gives you a really good feeling. It helps you keep stay motivated, or motivates you if you're not as motivated as you should be. And so I loved hearing what he had to say. He rewires the way you think, and so it was awesome.
Got it. I remember that dinner you went with Ravine,
That's
Sabrina's
right.
brother. Yeah,
Ravine
and I
loved it
asked,
too, I think.
yeah, and I asked Ravine. I told him that Sabrina and I were chatting with you today, and I asked him for a few questions. So, if you don't mind, I have a few questions from behalf of Ravine. The first one: what is your great white whale? The one project, trip, or anything that has eluded you so far, not including a Cowboy Super Bowl, which he says is never happening.
Great white whale project. Well, I think I'm kind of working on it. Every project I do want to do, I'm accomplishing, and if I haven't, I'm working on getting there. The big project we're working on. The next big number. It's $100 million development. I think that's a big deal, and that's. I don't know if there's a white whale because I'm gonna do it.
You're
Whatever I
gonna do
set
it.
my mind to, I'm gonna get it done. So, and that's just how I think. I'm not trying to you know, I'm not trying to be braggadocious. I just set my mind to something and say, this is what I want to do next. You have to believe, you have to have the confidence that you can go out
Sure,
and get it done.
I believe you. I believe you will. Sabrina, should we start the rapid fire?
Let's do it. All right, I'm going to start. And Shab, I tend to like explain my answers. I'll try not to do that because we'll all answer the same question, but let's try to make it fast. Let's see if I can do it. All right,
Mix it
first
up.
question.
Every week it's different. So we don't think about it.
Okay.
Shavi, if you could buy any sports team other than the Dallas Cowboys, which team would you buy?
Oh boy. I probably have to go with the New York Yankees or the Lakers because those are the marquee names. So I love soccer, but it's not going to be a soccer team. So maybe the Lakers. It's just a marquee name. It's such a good brand, right?
Yeah, it is a good brand. I'm going to go with something that's not a good brand, the Washington Commanders. Hail to the Redskins.
Definitely not a good brand.
I'm following my heart. That's why I don't have a jet.
I'll
I'm
go
in.
for I'll go for Real Madrid. You know.
Yeah, I knew it was going to be a soccer team. Saw
Yeah,
that one
yeah.
coming.
I saw what Ryan Reynolds did with the fifth league Wrexham English team, and that's kudos to him. Hats
Yeah,
off.
that was awesome to
That was
see them win.
awesome. Yeah. Right, next, one superpower. If you had to have one superpower, what would it be?
Oh boy. Is reading people's minds a superpower?
I knew you
That's
were going to say that.
I put mind reading in mine.
Mind reading? That
Mind
that
reading.
gives you mind reading is power, right? Knowing what
Yeah.
somebody else is thinking and doing before they do it.
I put mind reading and
Invisibility,
invisibility.
I go with
Sabrina?
mining and flying. I think flying would be fun.
flying. I could do that already.
Yeah.
It's a good one. All right. Sabrina?
Okay. The first property in Monopoly you aim to buy when you play.
You know, a lot of I'm gonna give away the secrets on this game, but the most powerful properties in Monopoly are the oranges.
Yeah. You know it's true. St. James, right?
Yeah, St. James
I thought it
and
was the navy blue one at the end.
That's what I would go for, but am I reaching too high?
uh,
You want to go with like the middle class?
oranges because you go to jail and you have a chance to hit those again. There's cards that take you right there to the right, not to orange, but right to it. So the oranges are pretty powerful and they're cheap to build on.
This
We're
guy's a
putting
poker
this in
player.
the podcast.
This guy's a poker.
Chevy,
I am a poker player. I love playing poker.
we all grew up playing Monopoly, and Chevy was the cheater of the group.
Hey, hey,
I'm putting this out
I can see
you
that.
know, when people lose, they just want to point and say he was cheating. So I'm
there.
sorry.
Yeah. All right. Next, Shav, Sabrina, what are you guys addicted to? What are you addicted to?
Ugh, Jeez.
Caffeine, caffeine, coffee,
Caffeine's nice.
coffee,
Nice.
Diet Coke,
Shav?
and I'll throw wine in there.
Yeah, Coke Zero for me. No.
Yeah, I'll go with caffeine. That's a nice, boring answer. Nice,
Yeah.
boring answer.
What's your fun answer, Shove?
It's
I
the fun.
don't know.
Liar.
Gambling. My
Gambling.
it's a controlled addiction.
Michael
And
Jordan said the same thing.
He did, didn't he?
He did. He did.
Gambling,
It's a
sports,
fun,
betting, or like you're talking about blackjack or all of the above.
all the above.
Okay, it's the thrill of it, I bet, right?
But if you win, it's not an addiction, right? It's only an addiction if you lose.
I don't know about that.
Mm, yeah. I think if you
At
sleep
least
over
for
it,
myself.
if you dream
But
about
you
it,
know,
it's an addiction.
but
I've
if you
learned to.
think about it,
Go
if
ahead.
you think about it, what I do for a living is also gambling.
Yeah,
Going out and doing these projects and rolling the dice and saying, okay, I'm going to build this and they'll come. It's a gamble, so you have to have that gambling spirit to do what I do.
It's
good
slightly
point.
more researched.
It's like a lot more research. The odds are on your side.
Yeah,
Yeah.
ever in your favor. Okay, last fun purchase.
Last fun purchase. Well, I got a Lamborghini last month, so that was fun. You know,
Not bad.
Mine's
that's
kind of boring. I ordered a new treadmill because
nice.
no, it's all right.
My
Different
So,
ride than a Lamborghini.
funny
my
story on my Lamborghini. I got to tell this. Sorry, but I got to
go for it,
tell
go
this
for it.
one. I ordered a Lamborghini about a year and a half ago, and it was a wait to get it in. Uh, I'd been waiting about 8 months, and it was actually maybe 2 years ago. I was waiting about 8 months, and then the dealership calls me and says, "Hey, we have a problem with your the Lamborghini that you ordered." Like, what's the problem? They're shipping it over from Italy, and the boat that it's on caught on fire. And they call me back 6 hours later, and they're like, "Oh, the car you just ordered just sunk to the bottom of the ocean." So ended up waiting 2 years to get that car.
The last one is if you had 5 minutes to live and you had to call one person, who would you call and what would you say to them?
You can only call one person.
That's hard.
That's
One person.
hard. I
One
can't.
person. It can be sad. You might piss off somebody, but I asked the questions. You agreed to come on.
Oh man, that's a tough one. I could call one person and they could call all my family and get them on the same line. And I just obviously you just want to say you love them. That's it. That's all you can say.
It's a tough
That's a
one.
good answer.
It's a
Yeah.
tough one. I you can't just choose one person.
I got it last night on TikTok. Somebody asked that question, and I thought, cool question. It's a tough one. What do you think, Sabrina?
Yeah, it is a tough one.
That's a tough one. I mean, there's too many loved ones, right? I
Yeah.
mean,
Yeah.
his I like his answer. Get one person to call the rest of the family.
Well,
Message.
I'm
do
gonna
a,
Chubby
I'm
is
gonna
my
do a
person.
prank call, conference
I'm
call.
gonna I'm gonna give an answer. I would call
Yeah,
my
do it.
mom. I would call my mom, and I would say thank you. I would say thank you for everything. Watching the movie Air, which I'm sure you've seen.
Oh,
With
great movie. That was
yeah,
awesome.
I was thinking at the end of the movie, what's the key taking of the movie? What did you get out of the movie? And I came out and I thought, wow, it's a mother's world. She made the decision. She decided that Michael had to go to that interview and listen, even though Mike just wanted Adidas. and
Yeah.
Yeah.
she made him listen to that interview. And I tell you, the power the mother has over not just black sport athletes, but just the power over all of us. It's just that's my take of the movie, and obviously it was a fabulous movie.
Mother knows best.
It's
Mother
Mother's
knows
Day
best.
weekend, so yeah, I guess we'd have to go. I'd have to go with mom this weekend.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
You know what my take on that movie was? Is Michael Jordan probably did not get paid because they didn't show his face once,
That's true.
No,
Yeah.
no.
right?
Ben Affleck actually was asked that question. Why wasn't Michael Jordan in the movie? He said, "I spoke to Michael. He gave me the go ahead for the movie, and he also was involved in getting Viola Davis to be casted for that role. So Mike was involved, but everybody felt that Michael Jordan is too big and too intimidating to be part of the movie, and then the movie will be more about the scenes that he's at. And the movie wasn't about Michael Jordan; it was about the story.
It's about
So
the story.
Michael is that big, you know. Have you ever met Michael Jordan or seen Michael Jordan play, Shav?
You know, I don't think I have. I don't think I've seen him play.
I have
I,
a story with Michael. I was at the Four Seasons in New York. The one was it 49th Street? Anyway, there's a coffee shop on the ground floor, and I was a banker back in those days. You know, we were living well. So I pressed a lift to go up to my room, and suddenly these two big, can I say black African American guys pushed me aside, and all of a sudden you see a Michael Jordan dressed slick with a nice jacket, and you see a gorgeous model, Swedish looking, with big, let's just say good body, walking by. And then I didn't go up to my room. I just followed them, and they sat down and had a coffee. And I sat down, and everybody around him, nobody was doing anything else. Everyone was just looking at him. That guy has a motherfucking aura when you see him, and definitely wasn't his wife. I've seen pictures of his wife. We don't know who she was, but I tell you what, that guy has something. Really, he'd be one guy I'd be really intimidated to meet and speak to.
really,
I think so. Yeah. I think I would stutter in front of Michael Jordan.
Really?
Yeah, yeah. He's the legend. For us, he's everybody's legend. Michael Owen, Ronaldo, Beckham, everyone that we idolize Michael Jordan.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I
I
don't
wonder what success and failure means to him. You know, be nice to hear that.
I think pissing
there is
women
no
off.
failure. There is no failure
I
for
like that.
him. Right?
Yeah, it's true.
Shav, thanks very much for taking the time. I know you're a busy real estate developer, and I don't remember the last time I saw you. Was it Ravine's wedding? But it's been a while.
Probably around there.
Yeah, you look good, and I'm glad to hear your
Thank you. Thank
story,
you.
and keep pushing it. Yeah, and
This
maybe
this is this is fun. But before I let you guys go, I want to ask you. I've watched the last couple of episodes. I'm gonna turn the tables around on you.
sure.
And you know, I really enjoyed the episodes. What made you guys want to do this? It's been fun. I enjoyed the episodes, but I was thinking that when I was watching it.
I'll let you answer this. What
Well, I
was
mean,
your
I just like you've been following Gary Vee. I've been following not just Mr. Beast. I've been following a dozen so lesser known names online on YouTube. And I think personal brand development and finding something that interests you, it's something that you want to do for a long time. I think that's something that keep my mind and my brain active. I think the whole idea. I know so many people who are Indian in the community, and I think they have amazing success stories, not just in America. We know people in Dubai, Nigeria, Australia, all over the world. And I just figured, if we can produce some content that inspires people and at the same time is entertaining, I think it's something that we'll enjoy doing. I think the world is big and you never know when the next opportunity is going to be. And it just keeps your mind fresh, it keeps the opportunities open. And Sabrina and I enjoy doing this. So,
yeah?
why not?
We're having a
That's
lot of
awesome.
fun, and I think the older I get, I just want to, continue to be educationally fit. Work on balancing my educational sphere, and in the few episodes we've done, I've learned so much, not just about podcasting, but about our guests and what they're doing. So it's enriching my life by doing this. So yeah, really glad Amin asked me to do this with him.
Yeah, I've enjoyed it. I really like the first two. I heard Monica is on the next one. And, this is gonna be that's gonna be a hard act to follow. So looking
No,
forward to seeing
you've
that one.
honestly, it's been so much fun talking to you today. You're inspirational. It's funny because when someone that we mutually know has a business idea, I always say, well, I don't think I'm the only one who says this. Everyone says, well, what does Shavi think? Does he know about the idea? And I'm not just like blowing smoke up your ass or trying to joke around. I'm being sincere. You have that great mind, and it shows, and you have that determination, and I'm excited to see what comes next for you.
I
So
would
I want
say,
to give one quote. Oh, go ahead, finish, and
no,
then I'll leave it.
I will say that our last guest was a little bit prettier, better to look at. I thought
You
she
can
was.
argue with
I thought she
that.
was gorgeous. I thought she's a beautiful girl.
So did you know there's a quote about you on Indeed, the
No, I
employment?
did not.
Okay, so I Googled you, obviously, and there's a 2015 review of you, and it says, if the world could have more CEOs like Shavi Mahtani, employees would not want to ever leave their workplace. His staff, method of training, and temperament are amazing. I
Wow.
highly recommend his work ethic. So I'm going to leave the listeners.
Wow, that's
Do so.
awesome.
It
Great,
is
thank you guys. I
great.
really had fun
Proud
doing
of you.
this. Thank
Does
you.
the jet reach to Santiago, Chile? What's the pick me up? Pick me up next time you go to the Super Bowl.
There you go. This year, Cowboys are going this year. Come on, let's go.
Thank you, Shav. We'll talk to you
Thank,
soon.
thank
All
you,
right, guys.
buddy.
Thank you.
Great seeing you.
You too.
Thank you for joining us on Indian Explorers today. If you enjoyed what you heard, please subscribe, share this with your friends, and join us on the next episode. See you soon.
Bye. Thank you.